Hi, welcome back to another episode of DDGeopolitics. This is our 22nd episode.
Let's go.
Yeah, that's good. We're on a roll. We haven't missed one episode yet. That's I guess I'll knock on this wood. But yeah, that's great. I think that's awesome. How have you been? You just got back again. How long will you be in Moscow this time?
I think about a week or so. I'm not sure.
Oh, and then, okay, I know where you're going on the next one. Also, a secret squirrel trip.
Well, actually, no. Even in between that, there's another secret squirrel trip as well.
So again, you guys will have to play. Somebody said he's a real life Where's Waldo, but I think he's more like a Carmen Sandiego, which was like my favorite cartoon character growing up. Like I wanted to be Carmen Sandiego because she got to go.
Well, if you come here, you can come with me. Absolutely.
Yeah, I need to get out of here before. We'll talk about everything that's going on. But I also wanted to say we're in the process of being lazy and procrastinating, but we're in the process of setting up sort of a reading club, and these will be books that sort of challenge certain narratives. So the first book that we'll be starting with is Chris knows Mr. Abrams.
I do.
Atrocity, Fabrication, and Its Consequences by A.V. Abrams. There's a free copy online. Whenever we get around to it, we're going to start that, and we'll actually just be reading it together because each chapter is a different fallacy that the West has made up. Maybe Chris will even join us for those discussions. But yes, and so the first chapter is actually on Cuba and Vietnam in the early Cold War. So hopefully you guys join us for that whenever we get off of our butts and get it done. But anyway, other than that, it's only been 2 days since we talked, and already an avalanche of news has happened, which is usually Wednesday shows are pretty slow and kind of quick. But so we had the Epstein passed. We had the UN security resolution. That's where you guys will get my crash out. Trent will bring you guys a nice little intermission of levity after the crash out. And then we'll talk about the MBS visit. And then we have a little Ukraine update. But first, on this Epstein thing, really quickly, just want to touch on this redemption arc maybe of Marjorie Taylor Greene that she's continuing on before entering the House. Now, I watched the full debate. I don't have any clips from that. You guys can watch it on your own. But I thought that this clip of her going into the House was incredibly important before her tremendous victory yesterday. But here's MTG.
That's what we did by fighting so hard against the most powerful people in the world, even the President of the United States, in order to make this vote happen today. I was called a traitor by a man that I fought for 6 years for. And I gave him my loyalty for free. I won my first election without his endorsement, beating 8 men in a primary. And I've never owed him anything, but I fought for him for the policies and for America first. And he called me a traitor for standing with these women and refusing to take my name off the discharge petition. Let me tell you what a traitor is. A traitor is an American that serves foreign countries and themselves. A patriot is an American that serves the United States of America and Americans like the women standing behind me.
Maga says, did Marjorie Taylor Greene just call Trump a traitor? And I was like, only if he's serving a foreign country and himself. A hit dog will holler.
That is true.
I don't. Do you think she's authentic? A lot of people are very cautious, but I think that she. Okay, she apologized on opposition media. That's like really putting herself out there. And now this. I don't know. What do you think, Chris?
I will tell you, I had a conversation with a very prominent group of activists from the US that are very much on our side of the aisle. Mm-hmm. And they said that they had a closed door meeting with Marjorie Taylor Greene some months ago. about some of the issues that are going on in the world. And they said that it was one of the best meetings they've ever had with a congressperson. And these are people that I trust a lot. And so that made me realize that in their estimation and in my estimation more and more, she's authentic. Does that mean we agree with everything? No. But she is authentic. And in that way, you can rely on her. And I think that authenticity is further cemented by the fact that she doesn't take a penny from AIPAC.
Oh, well.
My trust level goes way up for those who don't take money from AIPAC. So Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene, they have more trust than I have for anyone else that takes money, guaranteed.
And JD Vance takes way more than that from Israelis, but he just doesn't get that much from AIPAC. But yeah, so that's that. Really proud of Marjorie Taylor Greene. Again, we'll proceed with cautious optimism, but it's looking incredibly authentic to me. I don't know, putting yourself out there, unless it's kayfabe that she worked out with Trump, but I highly, highly doubt it. I just don't see her kind of engaging in that sort of charade. I'm not sure. Well, the Epstein Act, obviously, you guys know, passed both the House and the Senate almost unanimously. There was a detractor, was some guy, Clay Higgins, just a total weirdo. Now they're subject to Pam Bondi's review, whatever that means. I don't know. I'm kind of taking a break now, our hiatus with the Epstein drama for now, and then I'll catch up with it once they release the inevitably redacted files. What are your thoughts? You're kind of in the muck of it, but what are your thoughts?
I'm in the muck of it. I will be submitting all the documents that I have, including the book that I have, not the physical copy, but a digital copy. I'll also be submitting expert testimony to the Congress. I've spoken to a congressional counsel for the committee that's handling it. And they asked me if I wanted to remain anonymous. And I said, absolutely not. I'm very proud.
You want all the credit.
Well, it's not only the credit, it's just that why remain anonymous? I mean, I have nothing. I mean, I'm an investigator. This is the truth. They said, are you concerned for your safety? I said, not at this moment. I'm not.
Oh, not at all. You're probably in the safest place to be, actually.
That's true.
Either that or China or North Korea. Those would be the only safer places, I think.
All right, let's go to Pyongyang,
Yeah, right. I would love that. But yeah,
sure.
that's
so
great.
I think it's great. It's going to be great. Listen, I was speaking on RT tonight. The segment's going to come out, I think, this evening about the Epstein situation. I agreed, with the host that I think a lot of it is going to be redacted. We're not going to get as much as we want, but the investigation can continue. People's inquiries can continue, and ultimately the reckoning will be not through litigation and courts, but it will come on Election Day, November 2026. That will be the reckoning, and that will be when the victims of Epstein and all of their crimes and that syndicate will finally get some level of justice when we see what happens at the ballot box.
But for our people who didn't join us, or who don't know the context, Chris is actually in possession of the lost Epstein book, and we got him in contact with the oversight committee. So he's working with them to get those released. So he's working harder for the American people in Moscow than Trump is here in Washington, D.C.
I'm always working on behalf of the American people.
There you go. Even from Moscow. All right. So I guess we'll put the Epstein drama on the back burner for now. It seems like things are going to quiet down, at least for the interim. Let's move on to the UN Security Council. And all of these whiners, the viewers are going to hate me after this. You're going to not like what I have to say. But here we go. So UN Security Council Resolution 2803, decision as of November 18th. Resolution was adopted. The full text isn't publicly detailed in all sources. It addresses key international security issues related to the ongoing Middle East situation. What was voted on, the 20-point Gaza peace plan, et cetera, the most important part being the stabilization force to be ran by Azerbaijan and Indonesia, and a conditioned pathway to Palestinian self-determination and statehood. The vote required at least 9 affirmatives out of the 15 members with no vetoes from the P5. Negotiations involved regional support. Now, let's get to it. Everybody cried and said, why didn't Russia and China veto it? Now, let's talk about it. Okay, so who supported it? Egypt, Qatar, UAE, Saudi, Jordan all supported it publicly. The PA also publicly endorsed it and said they actually hailed it. Then called Trump's efforts sincere. That's a quote. Trump's sincere efforts to end the war and affirmed confidence in his peace plan. And they stressed cooperation. So what does Russia do? They said, we don't like the language of this plan. We're going to submit our own plan. And so they did. Now, the Russians submitted their plan on between the 13th and the 14th of November. The differences in theirs was that it gave more control to the United Nations Security Council. So obviously Russia and China could have had a more direct role. It stressed a ceasefire and put emphasis on a two-state solution. And the Russians said that they weren't going to veto it, but it was a negotiation tactic. And then Russia and China obviously abstained. Western leftoids and activists all went insane. I bet probably a good 70% of them didn't even watch the statements or read anything after that. They're just waiting on their favorite progressive or socialist commentator to say, why wouldn't Russia and China end the genocide? Well, let's watch the statements. Here is Russia first.
This document shouldn't become a fig leaf for unbridled experiments conducted by the US in Israel in the occupied Palestinian territory. It's important for it not to turn into a death knell for the two-state solution. Russia took note of Ramallah's position, as well as that of many other Arab and Muslim countries, which spoke in favor of the US draft so as to avoid a resumption of bloodshed in the enclave. Therefore, we decided not to introduce our own draft, the objective of which was to modify the US concept so as to bring it into line with long-standing agreed UN resolutions. But there is no cause for celebration. Today is a sorrowful day for the Security Council. Aside from what the interested parties want, there's also the notion of the integrity of the Security Council. And today, by adopting this resolution, this integrity and the prerogatives of the Security Council were undermined. In this instance, we wish we'll be proven wrong. We hope that we can count on the US demonstrating its peacekeeping potential in practice. Now, the implementation of President Trump's plan falls squarely on the shoulders of its authors and supporters. First and foremost, those of the group of Arab Islamic states, the group of 8 Arab Islamic states. Regrettably, we've already had the unfortunate experience of seeing solutions to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict pushed through by the United States, bringing about the opposite result of what was intended. Don't say we didn't warn you.
I think that was pretty effing strong. Don't say we didn't warn you.
Absolutely.
And they washed their hands of it. What do you guys, I'm asking the viewers, what do you want from China? I mean, from Russia, who's involved in their own war against the same exact hegemon? What do you want?
On multiple fronts, I might add.
Yeah, I don't really understand what is expected of Russia. So that's Russia. And I actually am impressed with Russia's statement. I expected it to be even softer than that. I didn't expect him to come out and say, don't say we didn't warn you. That's pretty ominous and he definitely washed Russia's hands of the whole matter. He said this plan falls squarely on the shoulders of those supporting it, meaning we don't support it. We're not doing this. We're out. Done. Don't ask for anything else. They do not support it. So much so that they wrote their own plan that was scoffed at by the people who support Trump's plan. Why? Because they're doing business with Trump right now.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely right. They have a lot to gain from supporting Trump. And as you saw, and we'll get to, the Arab countries that are at the forefront of this, and by the way, it's not just, for example, I mean, there are some Arab countries like Algeria that openly welcome this and things like that. These are countries that are long-standing, poles in the non-aligned movement and things like that. So it had broad support from the Muslim and from the Arab world. And that shows you, but most importantly, diplomatic relations between the Palestinian people and Russia and China as a state go through the Palestinian Authority. They do not go through Hamas. They do not go through PFLP or DFLP or Islamic Jihad or any other group. They go through the Palestinian Authority. And the PLO before had some of those factions like PFLP within it. But the Palestinian Authority is the main is the main body that speaks on behalf of the Palestinian people diplomatically. And if they agree with it, what is Russia and China supposed to do? Go against the will of the Palestinian people? For them, it's an internal affair. I mean, people need to think and put on that international relations 101 class you took in college, or I hope you took in college. Because what you learn is that in international relations, the guiding principle is non-interference in the internal affairs of nation states and of peoples. Non-interference means if the will of the Palestinian Authority is yes, even if Russia and China disagree and understand it not to be in their interest, in this case, they abstained. There are moments where in history there have been situations where they've gone against or they've changed positions. But at this moment, given the tension, they decided to abstain, but to voice and to lodge their very serious disapprovals with what's going on.
So let's talk about China. China issued a lengthy statement, which I shared on my personal profile, written statement following, but they gave 4 strong objections. 1, vague. The details were too vague. There was no clear structure or mandate. 2, Palestinian exclusion. The Chinese said it sidelined Palestinian sovereignty by not censoring Palestinian-led governance. 3, UN marginalization, because it didn't directly involve the UN or the UN Security Council. And then here is the 4th point.
Less than 2 weeks after introducing the draft resolution, the pen holder rushed the Council into making a critical decision on the future and destiny of Gaza. The Council members responsibly engaged in consultations, raising a lot of constructive questions and suggestions, but most of them were not taken on board. While there remained major concerns and serious differences among members, the pen holder forced the Council to take action on the draft resolution. We are deeply disappointed at such approach, which is disrespectful to the Council members and hurts the Council's unity. President, notwithstanding the above-mentioned many issues in the draft resolution and China's major concerns about it, considering the fragile and severe situation in Gaza, the imperative of maintaining ceasefire, and the positions of the regional countries and Palestine, China abstained in the vote. It must also be noted that our concerns and worries remain. The Security Council must maintain close attention to the situation.
Same thing. Our concerns remain. We're still worried. So exactly. I'm not really understanding. And again, China wrote out a fantastic statement following and explained it even further. They didn't want to fracture their relations with the Arab states. Them vetoing this would have handed the United States and Israel a propaganda win, because they would have said, look, China and Russia want the genocide to continue. I thought you guys said that they were that part of the axis of resistance. I thought you guys said that they were part of this, that, and the other thing. Look, they want the genocide to continue. They won't let the peace plan come through.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. And so I'm not really understanding. Also, people keep saying, I guess multipolarity is a sham. This literally, you need to pick up and read Konstantin van Hofmeister's book, Multipolarity, and understand multipolarity is exactly what Chris just said. It's respecting the sovereignty of the states and especially the region. Saudi is looked at as one of the poles, if not the pole, of the Sunni Middle East. If Saudi is going along with the plan, who is Russia or China to involve themselves in a regional affair now? I'm not really sure what you guys expect. You guys have got to stop being so emotional about politics. It's crazy. I had another analyst curse at me today and call me fucking stupid. Quote, I won't name names. But she's not it was totally unnecessary. but everybody needs to stop being so emotional.
Listen, ultimately, a veto is not going to hand Palestinian self-determination to the Palestinian people. It won't. I'm sorry. This is when politics becomes almost like a reality TV show. This is exactly the problem. Instead of doing that, and instead of just doing propaganda for propaganda's sake, China and Russia did what was in the best interest of not only their states, but of the Palestinian people vis-a-vis the regional actors that are actively involved in the situation. Now, if you go back to speaking about the regional actors, you had Egypt, Qatar, UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey. Egypt is a guarantor of peace and stability in Gaza, and historically, of course, given after the various wars that transpired, and then the peace agreement between Anwar Sadat and the Israelis, and afterwards, Egypt has become a stable state that has nobody's condemning Egypt here for having a peace agreement with the Zionists, nor Jordan, nor the rest of them that have done that. Of course, Syria didn't. Lebanon, of course, no. But you see that all the other regional players are actively involved in this. And of course, at this moment, the most important thing is to have whatever remnants of the ceasefire hold, of course, which Israel's breaking every day, as we see. We see bombing, we see killing. Lebanon today was brutal over the past 24 to 48 hours. But the main thing is that China and Russia can only do so much. They are not bordering these countries, nor are they as powerful in this region as the United States, which has full backing, which fully backs the Zionist entity. What more do you want? What more do you want? Like, what is it going to do? And the Palestinian people's representative. Listen, my personal opinion about Mahmoud Abbas, he's a bastard. And he's done nothing for the Palestinian people. And that's a fact. Everybody will tell you. I mean, there's great talks by Ali Abu Nima and so many others of Electronic Intifada and many others who've spoken out publicly and criticized Mahmoud Abbas, not only since October 7th, even before that, because the Palestinian Authority cooperates with Israeli occupation forces, handles internal security on behalf of the Israelis in the administered territories. But the main thing is he's still the leader. So it's up to the Palestinian people how to handle their internal affairs. He said it's good to go, and they put their support behind this. The embassy here of the state of Palestine is under their control. The embassy of the state of Palestine in Beijing is under their control. They're the ones that are the diplomats there. They say yes. Russia and China, what are they supposed to do? That's where I think people sometimes have a little bit too much activist brain and are thinking as if these states are acting like we do in a picket, in a march, or in a demonstration, but they don't. They are stable and responsible nation-state actors. They will function diplomatically, and they will, of course, look at all of the parameters, all of the context, and make a decision accordingly. That's the fact. And I'm sorry if people are offended by it, but that's just the case. People have been offended like this for a long time on a variety of issues. We had the Sino-Soviet split. We had China supported some of the apartheid regimes in Africa during the 70s and 80s. Let's not forget that. I don't see people always criticizing that, except a few sect-type Maoists that constantly throw that out there, or ultra-leftists. The main thing is that are there Chinese weapons that fall into the hands of some of the countries that we don't agree with? Yes. Are there Russian weapons that fall into those hands? Yes. But this is the complicated world that we live in, the multipolar world. It's uneven. It's not perfect. People have to understand that. Don't lose hope. Don't get black-pilled. We will continue the struggle. And the struggle, of course, is a long-lasting one. You might not see its results. Kids might not see its results, but we're going for the grandkids and the great-grandkids and thereon after.
Okay. Now we can have our intermission. This is Name That Tune. Hopefully Chris gets it. I don't know if he will. But maybe one of the viewers will get it and I'll give them a prize. But Trump spoke this week at the McDonald's Impact Summit. First of all, above the brakes, I don't even know what the McDonald's Impact Summit is, but if there was one, Trump had to be there. But anyway, let's play a Name That Tune. Nick has to know. Do you know what that is?
It sounds like it might be from a video game or a movie.
Close. You're close. It's from wrestling.
Oh my God! Is it from WWE or some shit like that? Or yeah,
yeah, but it's somebody's theme song. Yep, there you go.
Undertaker.
Yes.
Undertaker.
Like, what? Why is that his intro music to go into the McDonald? Who picked it? He had to. If he didn't pick it, somebody's really playing a joke.
That is so crazy. Didn't I just say, like for example, instead of getting upset at Russia and China, who, by the way, these diplomats and their entire staff are some of the most educated intellectual people you'll ever meet. Meanwhile, U.S. politics is playing like the wrestling music, and everybody's like, "Yeah, let's go!" It's like, exactly. Like, why are we upset about that? Why are we upset at the absolute destruction of anything meaningful and intellectual in our society?
It's so funny. I only have one clip from this. This is the best one of it. Everything else was just a rerun of everything else he says. But here he is. This is his intro. McDonald's Impact Summit speech. I don't know.
Oh my God.
Really, the job that McDonald's has done is incredible, and that you're doing. But as you may have heard, I'm also one of your all-time most loyal customers. I really am. Well, I think that's good. I'm pretty sure that's good. While other politicians fly around on campaign planes stocked with expensive catering, on Trump Force One, prior to ascending to Air Force One, which is quite a nice plane also, we served only McDonald's almost every time. On occasion, we couldn't find one, which is pretty hard to believe. We'd go another route, but we really did. You fed us very well, and I even got Bobby Kennedy to eat a Big Mac. And he told me he loved it. He didn't want that publicized. He told me he loved it. I thought it was great.
I'm loving it.
Bobby loved it. Bobby Kennedy loved it.
Bobby loved it.
I think they're slowly killing this man. They're feeding him McDonald's every day, and they're playing the Undertaker theme song before he comes out.
But are they feeding him, or are they feeding the worm in his brain?
I don't know. Well, Bobby had a worm. I don't think he has a worm anymore.
Who knows?
Who knows? All right. So speaking of worms, just kidding. I shouldn't say that. I'm going to have all of them trolling me again. MBS was in town. There you go.
he's a sandworm from Dune.
I'm really impressed with MBS. He was, I just am impressed with him. I thought he was pretty ruthless and cunning in his answers, but we're going to get to all of that. So I really think so. This first question that comes from, obviously you guys know MBS came to the White House, but this first question from a reporter, I think Israel, or as like that side of the aisle, pushed this reporter to ask these questions because this is crazy. Wait until you hear this.
Mr. President, is it appropriate, Mr. President, for your family to be doing business in Saudi Arabia while you're president? Is that a conflict of interest? And Your Royal Highness, the U.S. intelligence concluded that you orchestrated the brutal murder of a journalist. 9/11 families are furious that you are here in the Oval Office. Why should Americans trust you? And the same to you, Mr. President.
Now, who are you with?
I'm with ABC News, sir.
You're with who?
ABC News, sir.
Fake news. ABC fake news. One of the worst in the business. But I'll answer your question. I have nothing to do with the family business. I have.
And he goes on and says, why would you ask our guest a question like that?
Who do you think you are to ask a question?
Great question, but I do think that the Zionists maybe ABC did it to make Trump kind of look foolish. Fake news and ABC. So here comes the Trump's answer about Khashoggi.
As far as this gentleman is concerned, he's done a phenomenal job. You're mentioning somebody that was extremely controversial. A lot of people didn't like that gentleman that you're talking about. Whether you like him or didn't like him, things happen. But he knew nothing about it, and we can leave it at that. You don't have to embarrass our guest by asking a question like that.
Didn't the U.S. intelligence community confirm that he knew about it?
Yeah.
That he ordered it?
They blessed it, yeah.
Oh, you gotta love it. Business is good.
Yeah. And Khashoggi wasn't a great person. his family comes from a family of weapons dealers. Like, they're like the world's most prolific arms dealers.
His brother was very, very well connected, ran in different circles, and of course had links to both the CIA as well as to the Mujahideen. And there are questions about his links to 9/11 as well, through the different weapons and training facilities and things like that he helped. And also some very interesting tangential links to Israeli intelligence via third parties. So a very interesting, very controversial family, a family deeply embedded in some of the darkest and deepest secretive elements of the various intelligence communities and networks. Really? There's also questions of whether he knew Epstein.
He did. I was just going to mention, he's in the files.
He's in the files.
Adnan's in the files. And if you guys looked, we talked about it on the show a couple of weeks ago. Dropsite released a bunch of leaks about Epstein basically being a worldwide arms dealer. So if he was also an arms dealer, they probably knew Adnan Khashoggi at minimum.
Yes. And the question is whether they knew each other personally and whether they met in person. That I don't know, but guaranteed they knew of each other and probably did business through third-party entities, whether it was indirect, but with each other's entities for sure. I believe it.
Right. And we also know from the files that MBS sent Epstein a tent. So keep in mind, all these people are connected to each other.
Oh, yes.
What was the reason that they even gave for killing Jamal Khashoggi?
So Jamal Khashoggi was doing a lot of in-depth reporting on the corruption of the royal family, and there were a lot of skeletons in the closet related to the crown prince, but more importantly related to the royal family at large. Remember, there are a lot of princes that have gone. We've sort of forgotten them, like Prince Bandar, who were extremely close. He's in the Epstein files, very close to President George Bush and Tony Blair. Member of the Saudi royal family. There's a lot of those people in the mix here. So Jamal was very interested in bringing to light a lot of the dark secrets, also speaking about rights in the kingdom, speaking about some of the ongoing political situations in the kingdom, and of course ended up getting, chopped up and thrown into acid. So that's what happened in Turkey.
Now, I don't know if it was the Americans, but somebody encouraged him to go to Turkey to marry that woman. And he was an American citizen at the time. Yes, he was a WAPO writer or
that's
contributor
right.
or something.
No, he was a journalist with them. He was a correspondent.
Okay. Yeah. I vaguely remember. And I know that the big conspiracy, or not conspiracy, the controversy was that Saudi killed an American citizen.
Which, by the way, when other American citizens are killed, depending on the political expediency, it becomes like world news and, everybody's up in arms and, sanction, who knows what. In this case, we talked about it for a little bit and then it just went away.
Yeah, it was very strange. It really got swept under the rug. But MBS wants to answer. He wants to give an answer about 9/11. I need your thoughts on this because this was a little bit wild, I thought.
You allow me to answer. I feel painful about, the families of 9/11 in America. But, we have to focus on reality. Reality based on CIA documents and based on a lot of documents that Osama bin Laden used Saudi people at that event for one main purpose, is to destroy this relation, to destroy the American-Saudi relation. That's the purpose of 9/11. So whoever buying that means they are helping Osama bin Laden's purpose of destroying this relation. He knows that strong relation between America and Saudi Arabia is bad for extremism, it's bad for terrorism. And we have to approve them wrong and to build our relation, continue developing our relation. It's critical in the safety of the world. It's critical against extremism and terrorism. About the journalists, it's really painful to hear, anyone that been losing his life for no real purpose or not in a legal way, and it's been painful for us in Saudi Arabia. We've did all the right steps of investigation, etc., in Saudi Arabia, and we've improved our system to be sure that nothing happened like that. And it's painful and it's a huge mistake, and we are doing our best that this doesn't happen again.
Mr. President,
we're doing our best to make sure 9/11 doesn't happen again. If I remember right, I mean, I'm old enough to remember. Wasn't their close relationship what resulted in Bin Laden? The two of them create Bin Laden and Al Qaeda.
Yeah. The Saudis were tasked with the Saudis and the Pakistani ISI were tasked with the funding, supplying, and religious training and logistical training and logistics overall for the Mujahideen, for the Islamic resistance against the Soviet Union in the fight against communism. Now, after that was all finished, Saudis, of course, set up numerous madrasas, as the Pakistanis did, all throughout that region. And then also because the Saudis adhered to a much more Wahhabi version of Islam, and by the way, do not like their Shia minority, they helped to export that also to Africa and to the wider region. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, he's saying that it was about the Saudi, you know where this comes from. Bin Laden, of course, right, exactly. Bin Laden spoke as one of the pivotal things to solve was the question of U.S. military presence in the Holy Land, right? Of course, because the two holy mosques in Mecca and Medina are in Saudi Arabia. So, of course, his goal was to kick out the Americans from Saudi Arabia. But this relationship, of course, is far deeper and more complex because, of course, right now he's trying to be historically revisionist and to say that somehow the Bin Laden and Al-Qaeda network was trying to sever that relationship. However, you could say that the Saudis were trying to play both sides here, trying at one side to foment increased Wahhabi extremism, which, by the way, they continue to do up until even now. I mean, who's funding and arming all of these Al-Qaeda offshoots and Daesh offshoots? A lot of that money comes from the Gulf states. So, and of course, we know about the dirty war in Syria and all of that and who was involved and who played a big role. So the Saudis wanted to leverage that with, of course, a relationship with the U.S. that included military aid, support, the oil, all that. So now it's very funny to see that, oh, actually, we never had anything to do with these guys. We never had anything to do with these Wahhabi extremists. He did it to destroy our relationship. And if you criticize our relationship, then you also are playing into the hands of Osama bin Laden.
It's a very Zionist thing to say.
Like gaslighting. I love it. It's like a fait accompli for all the journalists now to be like, wait, what? If I say this, I'm now with bin Laden? There you go.
Yeah, that's a very Zionist thing to say. And bin Laden's not even, remember we had a year ago, the kids were talking about how based bin Laden was. So I don't know if bin Laden's still the bad guy that they think he is. Anyway, the visit continues. Of course, we need a mention of the Epstein Accords. Abraham Accords, as Trump likes to call them. But here we go. This is what this is all about, really.
Yeah. So definitely, we believe having a good relation with all of these Eastern countries is a good thing, and we want to be part of the Abraham Accord. But we want also to be sure that we secure a clear path of two-state solution. And today we have a healthy discussion with Mr. President that we're going to work on that, to be sure that we can prepare the right situation as soon as possible to have that.
I think I don't want to use the word commitment, but we've had a very good talk on the Abraham Accords. We talked about one state, two state. We talked about a lot of things in a short period of time. We'll be discussing it further, too. But I think you have a very good feeling toward the Abraham Accords.
Yes, definitely, Mr. President. We want peace for the Israelis. We want peace for the Palestinians. We want them to coexist peacefully in the region. And we will do our best to reach that date.
I don't think that they want to join the Abraham Accords.
Did they just drop a one-state solution line there?
Yeah.
One state, two state. Very interesting.
About a one state. We talked about a two state.
Very interesting.
Talked about a blue state. Like
if I'm not mistaken, this is the first time I've ever heard a one-state solution being pitched, at least conceptually, by President Trump.
What's the vague language? We're trying to secure a pathway to a two-state. What the hell does that even mean?
Very vague, and of course useless. I mean, this is the language since Oslo. It's meaningless. The pathway already exists. End the settlements, go to the borders of 67, secure those borders, and it's finished. You have 2 states if you want to do it on the 67 line. If we do one state, the only solution is a secular state that does not privilege Jews, Muslims, Christians, Druze, nobody, but is a secular democratic state. And ultimately, that would mean a reorientation and redefinition of what it means to be in one state. However, if they want the one state, which I think the Israelis want, which is complete supremacy of the Jewish people in the historic land, at least in Palestine as it was in the mandate, then I think you're going to have an internal crisis for forever, for as long as Palestinians live there, or as Arabs, Israeli Arabs will now live there, because it won't go away at all.
Well, the visit continued. It's like a Woodstock festival. Anyway, they had a dinner honoring MBS later that evening. Let's take a look at some of the guests. Reunited, and it feels so good. You guys really believed that kayfabe when Elon and Trump were fighting? Come on.
You can't fight. The elite don't fight like that. It's all for public consumption.
Yes, exactly. It's a kayfabe. You guys don't forget, Trump is a WWE star. Like, he knows how to kayfabe with the best of them. So, and also, that's Elon seated next to the CEO of Pfizer. So Elon is in between what you could see the Saudis, so either business people or members of the royal family, and right next to him is the CEO of Pfizer, Albert Bourla.
Hey, it's all good. It's all good. Vaccines for thee and vaccine skeptics for thee. You know, we all have a different operating system up there. You know that.
Oh, look, we got Danny Haifong and Nick in the comments. We're like star-studded chat.
Welcome to the welcome.
Of course, we voluntold Nick to be a mod. We're like, here you go, have a wrench, go do something, I guess. But anyway, the madness continued with the dinner. People said Trump was really high yesterday. Maybe they meant like high in spirits, I hope. But let's take a look.
But we also want to thank all of the people living in Gaza, the residents of Gaza, and they've, as you know, begun to move back to their homes, and a lot more safety. They said today, a lot more safety than they've ever had before. It was a rough neighborhood, to put it mildly, and a lot of progress has been made with respect to Gaza and just about everything else we touch. Just yesterday, the United Nations Security Council formally adopted my peace plan and officially endorsed the Board of Peace. This is a board like no other. It will have the heads of major countries, I think all of the major countries. I hope Your Highness will be on the board. You'll accept, I hope. But the Board of Peace will be something that's never even been thought of before. And it's covering Gaza, but it'll end up covering large portions of the world. And I was honored to be chosen the chair of that Board of Peace, and I think you'll see something that nobody's ever seen before in terms of the status of the board. There will never be a board like the board that we're going to be announcing. Everybody wants to be on the board, and it'll end up being quite a large board because it'll be the heads of every major country, and the United Nations passed it.
This Board of Peace sounds terrifying. Like, we already know that Tony Blair is like co-chair. Trump is honored to be the chair. And that one line he sneaks in there, hopefully covering large portions of the world. What?
Large portions of the world.
Right. And Russia, in their statements and in their proposal, do not like the board. Actually, that was their main contention. What is this board? Why is it getting all of this power? We hate Tony Blair. And now
Also,
he says, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was saying that the board is a way to sidestep the United Nations and the general process for dealing with international situations. Because if you can selectively choose who administers this area and who deals with the agreements and what happens in this area, then you sidestep anyone possibly critical. You sidestep other possible, influential nations, those who want to have a say, other vested interests. And I think that is deeply, deeply problematic ultimately, because then what you end up doing is you can end up catering to your board and to their interests at the expense of the Palestinian people. And I think that it could unravel very quickly. It could go from a peace board to a war board very easily.
I'm now that naturally just said new board order. That is genius. This feels like a little bit of we're going to do our own UN. Okay, you guys have your little bricks over there. We're going to do our own UN over here. We already know you don't want to be on it, because he said all major countries. We already know China and Russia will not join that board unless they get like an actual, seat with rights and veto power and stuff like that. They probably won't even be invited, honestly. So really, it just feels like we're just going to make a parallel to the UN and do whatever the hell we want. And since we're saying we have the leaders of all of the major countries, we have the sign off. What are you going to say?
You can't say anything. What are you going to say? And who's going to resist them? For example, say the Palestinian people disagree with the board. Is there a mechanism? Is there a mechanism to deal with possible contradictions, disagreements, or outright rejections of the board's policies? Is there an appeal what does it look like? Which is there a body above the board, or is the board the final say in the region? I think that's a big question. I still don't understand fully the architecture of the board. By the way, the board sounds very corporate. Like we're going to find a corporate solution to this supposedly intractable conflict that's been going on for millennia, and we're gonna find a corporate solution to handle the situation, and of course to mitigate all the concerns, and of course to then expropriate the resources and to begin the large-scale funding and infrastructure development that I guarantee you the money will not be seen by the Palestinian people.
I agree. And it is a lot like a corporate board. It's run by Larry Ellison, and Tony Blair's just a proxy of Larry Ellison. And they just put Trump in these positions to make him feel good. Like, I'm the head of the board, right? He's the leader. Right. And if it's the new board order, which I absolutely love that I'm stealing it, then he's the head of the new board order. That's right. All this is. It's like putting the Burger King crown on him. And it feels like, okay. And I'm just going to rub it in a little bit more to the people who are hating on China and Russia.
I guess unanimously you can say China, which was against it, took a pass, didn't vote against it, and Russia, which was against it, didn't vote against it. So we appreciate it, because one negative vote and it doesn't happen. So people were shocked to see that it was approved. And
so Trump
against it.
They're both against it.
Yes.
So if they vetoed it, you'd all be screaming, or another group would be screaming, China and Russia hate peace. They hate peace. They love dead Palestinians. That's what you would all be saying if they vetoed it. So I don't want to hear it. We're done. Moving on. Again, the weirdness doesn't end. Rich people are just weird. I'm not going to play this whole thing, but this is today, because the party don't stop while MBS is in town. They're now at the U.S.-Saudi Business Summit. I don't know. Wait, go ahead.
No, I was saying, by the way, Ronaldo was also at this dinner.
Yeah, I guess he's like probably an ambassador for Saudi now, I guess.
Like a public ambassador. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that was very interesting too. So keep an eye out. Some of the major sports figures are also getting bought by the Saudis to do some soft propaganda.
Ronaldo gives me the ick. I like Messi, like as a dude. Ronaldo gives me
But Messi's a Zionist.
Okay, then never mind. I hate Messi as well, but Ronaldo gives me the ick. Like, he gives me the yuckies. There's something about him that's weird and yucky. Like,
DDGeopolitics only stands who? Maradona.
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 We love Maradona.
Maradona was the only one to stand with Fidel and Hugo and the memory of Allende and Che Guevara and all the greats. He stood for revolution and a multipolar world. He stood for socialism. So that's our guy.
I have a great video of him. I'll find it and I'll post it later. But it's him in the mirror spraying colognes and he's like dancing and singing. Oh my God, I love him so much. But he was a cocaine addict. So there's that.
Listen, nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect.
Anyway, so they're at the U.S. Saudi something today. And I just thought it was interesting.
Distinguished guests, please rise for the entrance of the 45th and 47th President of the United States of America, President Donald J. Trump.
And His Royal Highness, Prince Mohammed ibn Salman ibn Abdulaziz Al Saud, Crown Prince and Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
It's like a video game.
I really wanted to learn how to pronounce MBS's name the right way. Like when they do that, the middle name. Oh my God, that's like I can't do that.
Laziz or whatever they were saying.
Yeah. What song was that? Was that the Saudi national? I don't know.
No, it sounds like a video game or some sort of like documentary, like
super ominous.
I know.
So before we get into the more serious stuff, here's Trump on I guess the night before.
Even people that go buy a car, they've never had this. Middle income people don't know what the word deduction is. They don't know. This room, they live on deductions. Me too. How much of a deduction do I get? We all live on it. Middle income people, they don't know about that. They don't really have deductions. We're giving them a deduction on the interest if they buy a nice Tesla car and they borrow the money. You're so lucky I'm with you, Elon. I'll tell you, has he ever thanked me properly? Although I do let him buy other than electric cars, but these are minor details. We had a mandate.
They're officially back together and they're stomping on the middle class.
Oh, the middle class, they don't know about the deductions. We live on the deductions.
Oh, thanks. Off of them.
Thank you, Captain Obvious. Thank you. We know that you live on the deductions.
Right. And also announced today, fuck you, working class. Fuck the middle class. Fuck the working class. Here we go. We're living off deductions and we're taking all of the innovation over to Saudi. I tried to look into this. This will not be employing Americans at all.
Wasn't the whole shtick of Trump, especially with Musk and all these other technocrats, was that we're bringing jobs to America, we're going to invest, we're going to have all the companies here, nobody's going to be able to leave, except for our friends that we're trying to court and that are making big investments. Forget about the US, big investments in my private interests and my private companies, of which all of Trump's kids and grandkids will all be billionaires. Forget about millionaires. All billionaires at this point.
Well, Trump did talk about MAGA today, but I don't think MAGA's going to love this because it's
probably not.
He's tripling down.
To bring people to get those plants opened. We want you to do that, and we want those people to teach our people how to make computer chips and how to make other things. You can't come in, and I'm explaining, you can't come in, open up a massive computer chip factory for billions and billions of dollars like is being done in Arizona and think you're going to hire people off an unemployment line to run it. They're going to have to bring thousands of people with them, and I'm going to welcome those people. Now, I love my conservative friends. I love MAGA, but this is MAGA. And those people are going to teach our people how to make computer chips. And in a short period of time, our people are going to be doing great. And those people can go home where they probably always want to be. You know, when people are born someplace, they tend to want to go, and we have the greatest country in the world, but they want to go.
Greatest country in the world.
Data centers to Saudi and thousands of H-1Bs to come build chips here in Arizona. MAGA.
That's
Are
it.
you winning, son? You guys tired yet? You need a nap from all this winning?
And they're so fat on winning. They're so gorged.
So fat on winning.
They're loving it.
What is the producer? Oh, yeah, I saw that he was going to resign. Yeah. Well, I guess he's had enough. Anyway,
Right.
the F-35 issue. Need your opinion. Do you think that we are really going to sell Saudi Arabia F-35s? Israel has said we do not want them getting F-35s. Number one, they cannot be more advanced than ours. Number two, they can't have them without normalization with us.
Listen, we're going to talk about, I think that after today, after this, marathon visit, I think that we're much closer to a F-35 being sold to the Saudis.
Well,
and I think it could happen. I think it could happen even without normalization. Because what did Trump announce? That Saudi Arabia is now a major non-NATO ally.
Huge.
Which puts them in a completely different category. It puts them also in the same category as Israel, Japan, South Korea. I mean, that is huge. Huge.
Yeah. And that's, I think that's what Saudi wanted. So congratulations. I know they wanted to be placed under the nuclear umbrella of the United States, which is interesting because they were placed under the nuclear umbrella of Pakistan, but they must be especially fearful of the Israelis. I think that them not only wanting the F-35s, but wanting a defense agreement with the United States, accepting this non-NATO ally, and then asking for the nuclear umbrella. What's going on with the relationship between Saudi and Israel that they're feeling so, maybe because of the Qatar thing?
No, I think that it's actually an extension of the Iran-Israel thing. That they want, listen, it's always been the plan to further cement the Gulf states against Iran and to sort of move towards encirclement fully. And that includes the most benign things like calling the Persian Gulf the Arabian Gulf and things like that. And by the way, Google Maps now says Persian Gulf, parentheses, Arabian Gulf. So we are dealing with a political, economic, social, historical, cultural, religious conflict that is taking new dimensions. By the way, we just talked about Pakistan and Saudi Arabia just, 2 months ago when they went to visit, where they talked about their strengthening relationship, and then immediately a 180 to the United States. Very interesting. And then, of course, we remember 2 years ago, China helping to facilitate the relationship between Saudi Arabia and Iran. And we talked about Saudi Arabia as a new player in the multipolar world. But I think post-October 7th and the transformations that have gone on in the region, I think that Saudis are going to put much more of their eggs in the American basket than in the other baskets at this point.
I think so too. I think so too. And they're just a better fit anyway, culturally, not economically, politically. Like they're just a better fit. I just don't see them meshing well with the East. I don't know.
Why rock the boat? They've already had a relationship for decades. Why change? You already know all the people there.
Exactly. And then his answer for 9/11 was pretty, it was about this relationship. We're going to make this relationship stronger than ever.
And by the way, a lot of that stemmed from the Biden administration seeing Mohammed bin Salman and the Saudis as a pariah state.
Yeah,
because a lot of Democrats were still talking about Jamal Khashoggi. They were still talking about the social issues, the various domestic issues that Saudi Arabia has, and the fact that Mohammed bin Salman rules with an iron fist, and the royal family is basically as authoritarian as you can get. But under Trump, business is good. Why rock the boat? Business is great.
Well, I don't mind if they're gonna have an authoritarian regime, but I want to embrace all the authoritarian regimes. Then why did Assad have to go if MBS gets to stay? Like, I want everybody. Can we like all of the authoritarian regimes? Like, you call Xi an authoritarian regime? I mean, like, can't we just embrace him too?
Assad wasn't willing to plunder his resources and give them all to the West for pennies on the dollar, right? That's the difference. Neither was Gaddafi.
He was also not willing to like get into these weird Lego building like things, that these weird real estate experiments that these people get into. It's very bizarre. Like the line was insane. Just even the idea was insane. And obviously they found out it's not going to work, because how the hell would it?
Agreed.
But it just shows you how detached from reality and how rich these people are. Speaking of rich, of course, we're not going to get anywhere without talking about money.
Like, all of that is in addition to the $600 billion investment in the United States that Saudi Arabia announced during my unforgettable visit there last spring. Well, I said, could you try and get that up to $1 trillion? And yesterday, the Crown Prince announced that the number that they'll be investing in the United States is $1 trillion. So that's really an honor. And we just took a picture backstage with some of the great business leaders and some of the great people, friends of mine from your country, and beautiful picture. And while we were taking the picture, I said, could you make it 1.5 trillion? So he's got something to think about. I don't know. We'll get something. I think we'll get something, Scott, right?
What does that mean? Investing $1 trillion in what? B, what is Saudi's GDP? It's like 1.1 trillion. They promised you all of it. Even adjusting for PPP, their GDP is like 2.1 trillion. So you're taking half of it?
Hey, 1.5 and you get the F-35s.
The $600 billion that he secured on the last trip, I looked into it. We have received 50 million of those investments.
I love it. It's all for show.
It's literally all for show. Money's not real. Like, they're not talking about dollars that like you can spend. Like, it's not real.
And those investments come in other ways. Real estate, the Musk thing, oil, so many other ways that investment will actually exist, and it will be the same as the tariffs. You and I and all of our viewers have not seen any benefit from the tariffs.
No, we've actually been hurt by the tariffs.
Right. So until I get my $2,000 check, which they said was going to come, possibly, maybe, who knows? It might never come, I think. But there you go.
I don't want the $2,000 check. They're just going to tell me next year I owe taxes on it. Just keep the $2,000. I don't want to give you the money anyway. Last segment, Ukraine. Axios reports that Trump's new Ukraine plan gives Russia control over Donbass. Areas Kiev must withdraw from would become a demilitarized zone where Russia wouldn't deploy forces. In Kherson and Zaporozhye, current lines of control will stay as they are. Russia would return some territory as part of broader negotiations, likely in regions where Russian forces are advancing. A Ukrainian official told Axios the plan also limits the size of Ukraine's army. This sounds a lot like Germany and Japan after the war. And its long-range weapons in exchange for U.S. security guarantees, which are still undefined. Qatar and Turkey are involved in writing the proposal. Okay. A senior Qatari officer joined the talks between Witkoff and Umarov last weekend. Very interesting. Ukrainian sources say Umarov rejected many terms, and this was one reason Witkoff refused to fly to Turkey to meet with Zelensky and Yermak. Axios reports that Trump's new Ukraine plan, I think I already read that. Sorry about that. Yeah. So that's it. Now, and then the U.S. official stated today, now we'll wait. The ball is in Zelensky's court. So we're back to what we already did. Didn't we already do this?
It's like Groundhog Day with these negotiations. It's like Groundhog Day. Like, I was asked today, what my thoughts are on RT about this situation, and I will say it again. Russia now, so Ukraine is suffering from two major setbacks. Number one, a massive corruption scandal that has taken down Zelensky's best friend and business partner, Mindich, and he fled to Israel. Funny and interesting enough. He's had to sack, or ministers had to resign, and now it's slowly bleeding out. The minimum is $100 million worth of corruption, but we know it's in the billions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now you have that, and you have protests going on calling for his removal. You have the FBI aiding Nabu in going after this corruption. Zelensky is well within the sights of both Nabu and the FBI regarding the corruption. And simultaneous to that, you have a complete collapse on numerous parts of the front line, and the Russians are making enormous advances. Not to mention the bombing of Ukrainian infrastructure, especially in energy, has increased to levels that we have not seen yet in this ongoing special military operation. So slowly, Russia is tightening the noose. Russia is turning up the dial and basically saying, if you won't agree to our demands, we will win everything we want and more on the battlefield. And they are currently achieving those objectives. Right now, the Ukrainians are losing on the battlefield, and they are suffering from major supply issues and logistics issues, not to mention a manpower shortage, whereas the Russians continue to build enormous quantities of drones, missiles, and bring them fast to the battlefield, whereas the Ukrainians can't keep up and are very much reliant. And that's why Zelensky did his big campaign tour now. He went to Athens, Greece, where he secured a gas deal. He went to Paris to meet with Macron, where they signed an agreement for 100 Rafale fighters. And he went to Spain and met with the so-called socialist leader, and they agreed on joint work between their arms industries. So he's trying as best as possible to garner as much support, but the clock is running out, everyone. I'm sorry to all of the NAFO people. Your time is up, and get ready, because the Russian flag continues to advance on all fronts.
Literally. And here's what they're saying about it. My understanding of hatched U.S.-Russian peace plan, as ugly as you'd expect, Ukrainian army, a 2.5 times reduction, no foreign troops in Ukraine, no foreign diplomatic planes in Ukraine, ban on long-range weapons that can reach Moscow and St. Petersburg, ceding territory, U.S. side, I'm told, passed information to the Ukrainians insisting Zelensky agree to the framework. This all feels very opportunistic by the U.S. side. Ukraine has been critically weakened by its corruptioneers. You think? That's what happens when you overthrow a legitimately elected government in 2014 and then just do fuck all for the next 10 years. I don't know what you expect. Who do you think the corruptioneers are? Is anybody going to name the fact that it's the Ukrainian government and all of the Ukrainian Jews that run back and forth to Israel? Nobody's going to mention that. We're just going to say these mysterious corruptioneers have weakened Ukraine. Not that Zelensky is one of them.
And Zelensky said he wanted to make Ukraine a new Israel, by the way. Let's not forget that. Those are his quotes. Those are his words verbatim. And I might add, I was asked on air what I thought about this, and you can check it out on our Telegram channel, on Rumble and Odyssey, on RT. I said that the Europeans and the Americans have been able to use Ukraine as a clearinghouse for illicit activities for over a decade. They have been able to use it to sell weapons illegally, and those weapons have gotten in the hands of terrorist groups and who knows who, mafia. It's basically turned into a mafia state over there. So a clearinghouse for weapons, a clearinghouse and a laundering house for cash, not to mention human trafficking, not to mention the atrocities that are going on, not to mention the deals for minerals and the expropriation of resources of the Ukrainian state. People getting rich, get rich quick schemes, trying to sell substandard products to the Ukrainians. Those in Mindich and his circles take a huge percentage and a cut of that, up to 15-20%. And Ukrainians get worse body armor, substandard uniforms, you name it. All of this proves that this corruption doesn't only extend to Zelensky. This corruption extends to networks of military-industrial complex people, financiers, politicians, diplomats across Europe and the United States, Canada, and the other parts of the Western Alliance. Their proxies and allies are deeply involved in this, and it has been to the tune of hundreds of billions of dollars. As George Galloway said when he was talking about Iraq, they sent pallets of cash and they didn't even weigh them or meter them or anything. Send the cash, and you saw, we're not lying, you saw the images from Mindich and from all of the people around him who are getting caught. These are stacks of cash that came in pallets from Kansas City, from Philly, you name it, from all of the Federal Reserves. It's just bills, dollars, euros, Ukrainian currency, other currency, you name it. They're all there because this corruption doesn't only extend to the inner circle of Zelensky.
No.
This is the corrupt West and how it operates.
I'm going to, we put a link to Chris's interview in the comment section. I actually wrote an article, and I'm going to humble brag. This is probably my favorite article that I ever wrote. I'm trying to get more people to read it, but it is about the very interesting Israeli-Ukrainian connection that I didn't even know was this strong until I wrote this article, and it ties into all of this stuff. And for the people that think that Russia is in bed with Israel or is in bed with the West or even China, please read this article because it's not possible. Ukraine and Israel are attached at the hip. Ukraine is an Israel junior for the most part in politics and trafficking and as a member of this network. And they both serve the United States. So and I'm going to post it in the comments. I really hope you guys read it. It's free. It's on the Substack. Substack's free as well. We rarely put anything behind a paywall. So please check that out. But other than that, I think we have covered everything we need to cover. Unless you have any final thoughts for...
The final thing is that I would say is that we right now are at the beginning of the end, I believe. And I think many people understand that. The question ultimately is what the Russians will do. And I think that there's a lot of people now who are sort of gearing up and saying, we have the advantage. Let's keep going.
Exactly.
Let's keep going. Because once the line collapses, you're going to punch, you're going to see movements like we haven't seen since World War II. You're going to see huge swaths of territory taken quick. And that's going to happen. I believe it. I believe it. Some analysts are saying it. Once Ukrainian positions fold, once morale begins to decline precipitously, you're going to see the nationalists won't be able to hold the whole line. And I think that's what we're going to see.
Let's do our super chats. Thank you, Joe, as always, for joining us. And happy hump day to you, too. I don't know what Promethean Updates is, but whoever they are, thank you for plugging us, and I'll try to find out who you are and reciprocate. Other than that, we'll see you guys on Sunday. Who the hell knows what will happen between now and then? But for now, I will leave you with this classic banger from Dr. Pharaoh. And if you don't know who Dr. Pharaoh is, then you're hopeless. But anyway, we will see all of you guys next time. We love you. Take care. Don't forget to pick up. Maybe we'll get him to come on the show. He's a friend of the channel. Konstantin van Hofmeister's book, Multipolarity. I read it in a few hours. It's excellent. And it even taught me a lot of stuff I did not know or understand.
He's a great friend of the show and a great friend of mine. And we'll definitely bring him on and we'll talk about
bring him on. Awesome. And guys, don't forget about the reading club, maybe Abrams, but I'll get that link out to you guys. And you guys should just read A.B. Abrams anyway. His book on atrocity fabrication and his other book on Syria are like just so good. I think he's like hiding in China because he can't be in the United States. That's how good the books are. Anyway, enjoy Dr. Pharaoh, and we will see all of you guys on Sunday.
War. And yes, we are the people of light and they are the people of darkness. Go tell Nelson that, whoever recording me, you sons of bitches. The Egyptians are fucking coming. Get the fuck out of here!